Viradíssima que a gaja foi.
Por isso é gente pelo tal.
Dropping into AR. Cover me.
Ai Jesus, bro, tenho que um gajo.
Fuck, tomada por aqui que eu nunca não tinha.
Estás a ver aí à frente à direita? No quarto à direita, tem um gajo.
Aqui é, direito.
Esse corte aí. Exatamente. Esse corte é à direita, tem um capcano. Não, tipo ao lado.
É, sim, já percebi, já percebi.
Um gajo está olhando agora. Calma, calma. Esse gajo está a olhar, não?
Não existe dois,
Não, está fixe.
não existe dois.
Yeah, fizeste bem.
Não sei se então.
Esperaste pela parede, não sei. Fizeste bem. Mas se calhar. É mesmo por dia que a gente apanha tudo fodido.
Ontem fui. Este foi segundo.
Não, ontem também foi outro gajo que estava olhando para o nada enquanto estava destruindo. Não sei o que é.
So you can charge your phone whilst you're riding along. That's nice. Right, close that up. We've also got a little hook here which you can either stick your helmet on or shopping bag or something like that. Or your handbag, if you're a lady. So that's nice as well. What else we got? Under seat storage, right. So press this button here. We get under the seat. And we find it full of rubbish. So if I move my stuff out of the way, right, hang on a minute. I have actually taken this bike to work today, so hence why it's full of my rubbish. It's not the deepest seat and seat storage in the world. Some scooters do have...
Secure the area, keep the bombs protected.
This doesn't, unfortunately. Get a half face helmet in here, like an open face.
Stop worrying about grenades now.
Still a nice space. You've still got enough room in there to...
Welcome that deployed. ATS up and running.
I mean, obviously, I've got
Razor wire is deployed.
notepad in here, my jacket, high vis, so yeah, it's not too bad.
Op 4 located a bomb.
New feed
Protect it.
activated.
Yeah, show you one thing.
Feed up and running.
Single cylinder.
10 seconds left. Bomb location compromised. Plan accordingly.
Não nas câmaras
5
e
seconds to
boia.
insertion.
It's all in line as well, and all very low down.
Op 4 has located a bomb. Get ready to engage.
De onde vem a conversa?
Setting the welcome mat.
Trade, não.
Cam in position.
Setting the welcome mat.
Activating camera.
Disse que é a caixa das comas.
Provavelmente.
O que, o que?
Aí, peraí, já me pulso
Enemy
isso.
scan incoming.
Scan.
Start the clock.
Device placed.
Faltava um, não tinha falado isso. Essa câmera como é que é agora? Estás na corda. Essa aqui, tipo. Tchau, gostei dessa debaixo da mesa.
Tem gás na. Atrás de ti, G. Tá dá.
Fica a ver se.
You're about to get scanned. Starting the timer.
Câmera não. Já está. Vou continuar aqui com os carregando.
Loading new mag.
Vê se não dá já para mim, que tem 20 pedaços.
Tem. Na câmara, se vis a câmara tem um gajo aqui. Acho que é.
Agora não consigo ver.
Cobra de cima a câmara.
Op 4, last stop standing.
O último está aqui. Mentira.
Utan das Discord, ja.
Talk me.
Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
Is that unlike
Oké, dit is Samsung.
this isn't entirely made of plastic. Certain bits are.
Eu estou quase chegando ao 1.5 de cada, por acaso.
Top boxes. But the rest of it is made of metal.
Então não consegue, tá bom?
You know,
Yeah.
but again, it's quite good. It makes it a very robust scooter. Means it can put up with a lot of abuse on your daily commute and stuff like that.
This is
Probably why a lot of people
good.
have them around London actually, because
Şimdi basa.
it can take quite a bit of punishment.
Nereden basa niye yakamazsın?
Put that stuff back in there.
Bak.
I don't know how I had it now. Like that. There we go. Oh, and of course, your fuel tank's just under here as it's just
Protect the
here,
bombs.
actually, so the filling cap's here. There we go. Oh, and another thing.
Activating camera.
Inside the seat here, we do actually have a running camera which comes out and comes over.
Be advised, a bomb location has been compromised.
Oh, and these things, I mean, the seat's obviously waterproof anyway. It's but it's that as well.
Nice. Tá bom.
Sıddık.
Este é next só um deles a cometer até agora.
Reservoir going up.
Down to 5 seconds.
Which is still relatively expensive, but then
Op 4 has located a bomb. Get ready to engage.
Nossa, esse bomb nossa.
Yamaha I looked at the
Podes
other day,
fazer.
the one was like close to 10 grand.
E fica, não vai fazer para não.
Feature-wise, didn't really have anything much more than this.
Ninguém
With
não
this, I
fez
feel you
shit.
get a lot more for your money.
Ninguém diz shit.
More plastic.
Eu vou fazer agora.
You know, you do
Agora,
It's not quite as much for a computer, but certainly enough. And of course, if you go for the optional top box, I'll just show you this actually because it is quite good. It's all colour matched as well, but it's quite a decent size. I mean, because the lid's quite,
Zagadł.
you can fit a full face helmet in here and other bits. That's worth
Bizim için biraz da siz zaten.
did by the. So yeah. Set the stand and side stand.
Clearance enabled.
About that. There we go. Oh, and
Blackbird
Ah,
dat op
bro,
die.
tylko wat dat feed. Ah, vet show.
Het hier.
To jest właśnie...
Fala bem que estava gone. Está a seguir, não é que esse cara deve fazer fucking spawn kill com. Não é fazer coisa com. Acho que é da capção.
So yeah, talking about upgrades and stuff like that, you may notice that the speedo on this is not the standard one. That's because, as I say, it belongs to a very good friend of mine and it has been modified for the exhaust and this. So the standard speedo is digital and analog, I think. And it's got all the usual stuff, grip, your miles an hour rev, sound, everything else, fuel gauge, digital fuel gauge. This SIP performance one is a optional extra, not an optional extra, sorry, it's something you can buy for it. Just trying to think, well, you can get it from SIP Scooter Shop, that would be the website you can get this from. And it just adds a few extra little bits, extra
One Op 4
Vamos por
remaining.
ali, olha. Pum.
features, extra features. So with this you get, as well as the temperature for the water, you also get a direct temperature
fit
for
off
the
the-
engine, not for the cylinder. Okay?
Diz.
Isso mesmo, isso mesmo. Mas bom é show.
O que esse gajo está com uma diga?
Não sei.
Ah,
It's
amor.
also got a few other little bits and bobs like a
Right.
race mode. So when the engine's running, if you press these two buttons,
Dobra, se não tivesse levado esta coisa.
Op 4 eliminated.
Ah, mas
Mission
descobri
successful.
coisa de vida, nem tanto o gajo explodiu.
Não, eu deixo o Blackbird feliz. Não dê para safar um pouco.
Não, essa não é tu não ias morrer, tu não fizeste show, tinha acabado de dar bem.
Tá chill. Teu objetivo na merda.
this doesn't make
Yeah.
any difference to the engine. All it does is basically just bring up a
Difficult.
060 timer and allows you
Good,
to
good, good.
see how much power it's got.
Mas eu desde o Torbre, acho que foi um erro.
Yeah, that is no.
Pointless function really on a scooter, but it's you know it's something else to have. But
Para variar na ferragem.
instrument cluster in general is just a bit nicer.
Vai fazer uns cereais.
So you know if you've got a bit of extra money,
Cereais, não é cereais,
spare
sabes?
money.
Desculpa?
Não é cereais, sabes?
Então, é de propósito, cabeça.
Eu para ter que esteja.
Se calhar está tudo no chão.
Só. A Glove está a pedir funcionários. Mas
Lá
essa
não.
beca.
Só para foder o carro todo.
É a multa. É que é de multa.
Também tem carro, já vi gajos de glove de carro.
Eu também já vi gajos com bota de piche. Não sei o que é que eles ganham ali.
Tem mais rápido.
Bro, dinheiro que eles ganham.
1 milhão é aquelas scooters elétricas, uma merda assim. Tipo, na Bélgica.
cara. Yeah.
Que é tudo pico.
Não, tu com a cidade me tradicionais, nós querem ainda que nós temos bots no dia. É top.
Ou então aquela. Ei, sei.
Eu também.
Ou então aquelas. Mono wheels, eu não sei como é que se diz, tipo.
Sim, aqui.
Uniciclos elétricos.
Isso é uma posição minúscula aqui.
Mas aquilo anda rápido, isso bom. Estás bem, facilidades.
Não, também. Mas deixa-me convidar primeiro.
Estou falando.
É.
Cereais.
Também esperei para aí, eu vou poder dizer.
Está-se bem.
Upgrade, if that is something worth considering, it does just make it that little bit better. Another thing I definitely recommend is the screen, because this does a fantastic job of keeping the air off your chest. Still sort of goes around your head and stuff, but it doesn't buff it or anything. It just it makes the whole riding experience a bit more pleasurable. So there you go, that's that. Right, let's get it started and then we can go for the ride. Yeah, so obviously because it hasn't got the original exhaust on it, I can't tell you what it's like, well, you know, what the original exhaust sounds like. But the Leovince one, I think it's Leovince Gran Turismo, I'm pretty sure that's the model of it. I don't know, but anyway, the Leovince exhaust on this bike does sound absolutely fantastic. It doesn't sound at all like the normal hairdryer kind of sound you usually get from a scooter. It actually sounds, in some instances, as I was going along, sometimes when you accelerate, it almost sounds like a V8 at maximum RPM. It just, I don't know. But it's very quiet. It's not a noisy exhaust at all. So you know, it's not going to give you a headache over long distances or anything. Right, let us go. I've sat around talking about it long enough, and it's quite hot out here, so let's go for a ride. So, obviously it's fully automatic, twist and go. My left hand, instead of being a clutch, is the rear brake. And then obviously the right hand lever is the front brake. I think it has got a linked brake system, so if you pull the back brake, it does give you a little bit of front brake as well.
Hello.
There's very good braking on it. Now, as I said before,
E como nós vamos no bom?
out on this all day, and the handling, so I took it around a lot of twists.
Gonna cair.
Handling was just quite surprising. It's a really strange thing for this, because normally when you get on a scooter, they feel a bit heavy sometimes, and they're certainly quite wallowy. They're not the most direct, sharp handling things in the world, but this is very, very surprising. For a start, as I said, all the weight is very centralised and very low down. You can get fantastic weight distribution. Couple that with the uprated front suspension, and even the rear suspension is pretty good, to be perfectly honest. You can get upgrades for it, but even with standard
Mapa diferente.
it handles amazingly. And I shouldn't really be surprised by this, because this scooter is primarily designed for zipping around.
Só mesmo para variar, né?
So having sharp
Eu vou ter força de
is obviously a very advantageous thing.
negative image.
Ah.
Não, acho que nunca gosto, nunca tinha jogado.
Não, fica jogando para caralho. É criar
Não,
Heartbreak.
mas claramente jogas com ela. Ah, não, senhor do Breach.
To locate a bomb.
Por causa finca, é tipo a Mercy. Ah, sim. Por causa finca é muito importante, mas isso aqui é muita vez claro.
Yeah. Está lá embaixo?
Drone has located a bomb.
Tem mira.
Isso é de um câncer.
Nice, sem mira.
Insertion in 5 seconds. You've located a bomb. Make your way to the location and defuse it.
Já não sei quem é um spawn kill aqui.
Yeah.
Por acaso. O jogo está muito diferente. Vamos dizer, onde chara. É diferente, era melhor, era menos tóxico.
Menos toxicons.
Eu achava tipo. Não sei, era mais tipo difícil ali nas dimensões bons. Agora é mais caralho.
Agora é mais cagado.
O pessoal era mais. Arriscar.
Cuidado tem Legion, deve ter um gajo.
Estou.
See you on the other side. As my friend would say.
Activating adrenaline surge.
Nossa, está lá em bons.
Bomb has been located.
I'm crazy!
Pô, vou ter que ir nesses agentes todos.
What the fuck, bro?
Buguei. Bro, a porta buguei, bro, literalmente. Tipo, é de um tiro, a porta desapareceu e voltou a aparecer. What the fuck? Ah, bro, já ia disparar.
Tá, a 20 via, tchau.
Bro, já ia disparar.
You have dropped the diffuser. The diffuser has been recovered. Diffuser is online and active.
Esse gajo Godly é um youtuber, acho eu.
Mission successful.
O Godly. Ah, mas é no computador, cara.
Se for o caso, esse jogo não vai para o YouTube. Se não graça. E aí vai estar como dá mais.
É o primeiro jogo que temos.
Quando os teus 3 namorados te convidam para jantar fora, no dia que tu se fez.
O quê?
Quando os teus 3 namorados te convidam para jantar fora, no dia que tu se fez.
We need to locate a bomb.
Tens que dizer que tem que ser o almoço, até o pequeno almoço e até o jantar. Lá para cima. VIP, acho eu. VIP.
10 seconds before insertion.
Não sei como é que vais querer fazer isto. Tem.
5 seconds.
Eu ia dizer, tem o Widowmaker, tem a Valkyrie.
Your mission is to locate and defuse a bomb.
Eles são o Widowmaker. Mas ver eles estão bem disso tudo. Ok, vou avançar.
VIP é um bem cima, né?
Bem assim. Como é que não sabes isso?
Chama-se. Esqueces.
Chama-se.
Memória.
Não saber.
Pô, só escrevi uma vez não. Mas é a nova que era, bem.
Vê abrir.
Pode avançar, não é? Que eu acho que já tem.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
You located a bomb.
O buraco que eu estava disparando. Segue onde que é que...
You must recover the diffuser. The diffuser is now secure.
Tom Platão. Não, não rebenta. Protege o diffuser.
Diffuser is
Protege.
online and active.
Vá para o telhado, vá para o telhado, vá para o telhado. Não! Não mates o montanha, vá para o telhado. Vá por trás e vá para o telhado.
Oh, bro, já morri. Tinha um gajo por trás, gajo de burro. Faz não.
One friendly operator remaining.
Só, bro, gajo de burro. Não estás fodido. Ai, tá, deixa-me de show. Não, o gajo de por trás não me proteger. Sempre para a frente, fugir.
Também há.
Diffuser was disabled. Mission failed.
Quem é que lhe deu o rei pagou? Fez já. Já vai. Temos que ir onde eles atacam. Agora que não davam ir bom, não está certo.
Use your drone to locate a bomb. Be advised your drone has located a bomb. 10 seconds to insertion. Insertion in 5 seconds.
Tá limpo? Eu abri.
Isso não. No banco. Está na frente. Eu tenho que começar a cagar para isso.
You must recover the diffuser. The diffuser is now secured.
O que, bro? Equipa de merda. Gostaste muito? É, o bacana. Isto tem muito desse gajo.
Não é cheguei. Aldernote. Oh! Olha.
Olha, o Bucky não rebenta, é incrível.
Como é que tu cruzas?
Reload!
20 segundos.
One friendly operator remaining. 50 seconds left.
Pôs aí.
10 seconds left.
Além da
The diffuser has
desgraça.
been recovered. 5 seconds remaining. Op 4 eliminated all friendlies.
Como é que eu cheguei a desgraça? Mas a técnica vizinal por 4 não vou voltar a vizinal outra vez.
O Buck não usa a sua habilidade. Ele podia ter morto por cima.
Foi culpa dele.
Hey there, ADMs, welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Amber Heard's body language during her deposition in regards to her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. This is an interesting read, to be sure, but before we dive into that, I want to be able to say a few things.
Secure the bomb.
For those of you who are patrons, thank you so much. Hoping to be able to do this too much.
Espero que essa caveira salve as duas.
And if you would like to be able to make that happen,
Mas sim, é
Op 4
forte.
has located the bomb. Plan your defenses accordingly.
here's various benefits, and if you want to interject
Também gosto dessa skin dele.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
10 seconds remaining.
Setting barricade!
Down to 5 seconds. Op 4 located a bomb. Protected. Op 4 has located a bomb. Get ready to engage.
Enjoy the view. Calibrating air compression.
Nice.
All set.
Posso ficar aqui? Ok. Ai, what?
Ah, ok, rei.
Não avance. Já viste que ela é rápido, avance. Isso, caralho.
Poi dat è entrato in Port Boy.
Só tá fodido esse jogo. Cover that whole team.
Critical bomb diffuser activated. One
Nice.
friendly remaining.
Komt er weer. Shit kan mee.
Esse jogo tá fodido, cara.
That I have released some merch, including the Get Off Your Golden Couch merch from the Jeffree Star nonverbal reading. It's all available once again in the links below. And last but not least, I am an Audible affiliate, so if you want to follow that link, you sign up, you download your audiobook, and it still counts as a
Oh, gosto de sport ali.
It's free for you.
E não ativar aquilo.
To win in that situation. So try that out. Well, that's enough.
Mission failed. All friendlies have been neutralized.
Me though. Let's roll the little intro thing and then we'll go from there. Alright, so there's a few things that I want to be able to say, and I'll say at the beginning of all of my videos that are on nonverbal communication. It is at best 70% accurate. There is definitely a talent to reading it. It is not a complete science as something like psychology is. It is not quite a pseudoscience. It is a mixture in between. So if you watch this, this is an absolute truth. This is an educated conclusion based off of given facts. I have received requests to be able to do Amber Heard's deposition from 2016, and this is the time that I'm able to do it. If you would like to be able to know more about what caused
Secure the bombs.
this to all
Bomb location. Op 4 has located a bomb. Be ready for hostile action.
Wow, what the fuck, bro?
Pega o time.
Bro, é sempre headshot, dispara na sua headshot. Vamos pro. Deixa eu ver. Show, essa mesmo, ok.
Mas onde é que te mataram?
Graças, já morre. Saco, a ponta de um tiro, headshot. Ah, acabei de ir para a farm. A mira está a ser headshot.
Não gosto do fato de ninguém estar. Merda. Deixa um gajo não.
Está shot. Vem um bocadinho, não vais. Agora, não vai.
One Op 4 remaining.
Agora ao teu frontal, Bart.
Como é que fizeste?
One friendly operator remaining.
Gaja.
Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
Ainda que.
É o capitão, por isso ele é meio seca, tem uma pala no.
Called in and they asked them about me being such an artist and, you know, can I maybe channel that into more productive things like, you know, math and science or something. And my parents were like, it was this like almost apologetic attitude, like, no.
Okay, so this is actually a fairly, just for your ability to see it, I've watched far more hours on her than I would ever care to admit to be able to establish this baseline, but that little blip there allows you to see some very important things that need to be established while reviewing her body language. She stumbles over her words a fair bit in most situations, actually. She always processes, so that's something that we need to keep in mind as we continue to do a read. She
Secure the
also
bombs.
looks around a fair bit, so that is something that we also need to keep in mind. Wandering around. And then along with that, if you look at her eyes specifically,
There's a
they're
gate in
not
there.
overt expressions themselves. They make hooded expression most of the time.
There's a gate in
That's just
position.
something that is specific to her and her
Surrender, deploy.
and her also communication reveals itself. I do want to say that. If this is a popular enough video, I might revisit it to maybe do the rest of
10
it.
seconds left.
But for sake of viewability for you,
Reloading mag.
I want to keep this
5 seconds and counting.
Get active in the sector.
We're gonna go ahead and
Op 4 has yet to locate a bomb.
Razor wires deployed. Reload! APS deployed and ready to go. Window covered up.
Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it.
I'm reloading.
Op 4 found a bomb. You must defend it.
Bro, vê se não jogo mais o jogo. Ah, sapato. Dão tirar show. Não jogo mais. Eu não jogo mais.
Someone exposed you.
Oh my god! I'm Maria.
Swapping mags.
I'm an engineer, not a medic.
Loading new mag.
Op 4 is defusing a bomb. You need to disable their defuse. Op 4, last operator standing. Located the diffuser. Destroy it. Bomb defusing device is disabled. Mission successful.
Anytime prior to May 22nd, 2016, did you ever commit an act of domestic violence against Johnny?
Calls for legal conclusion and irrelevant. Go ahead.
Do you understand what I'm asking you? No. No? Yes, I understand.
Oh my god. Alrighty. Right off the bat. Okay, so you can see she's doing her thing where her eyes are darting all over the room, but it seems a little bit more excessive as soon as the questioning comes in. And this is actually common in people who don't want to be in a situation that they're in. This could be due to boredom, this could be due to guilt, this could be due to not wanting to be caught for something. When you are looking around a room a lot while being spoken to, that shows a lack of interest in what's going on. So Amber is showing quite clearly with
É short que vais sem,
doesn't
desse
want to be
fantástico.
there. She has no interest in being there. Why that is another issue altogether, but her nonverbal communication is expressing that clearly. Now she also does a thing where there's already a nonverbal misalignment, and a fairly strong one. It has to
Need
do
to
with
use your drone to locate a bomb.
while saying no. This is not always a guaranteed thing. A lot of times people will shake their head while saying a positive thing or nod their head while saying a negative thing. But in this situation, she nods in affirmation, legitimately nods, yeah, but then actually says no afterwards. It's two distinct communication devices that are used one right after the other rather than at the same time, and they're exactly the same. And this is not a good tip for Amber because it's already
Be advised your drone has located a bomb. 10 seconds before insertion. 5 seconds to go.
Ei, que lash. Que conra do caralho.
I don't know why she does that.
You've located a bomb. Make your way to its location and defuse it.
Also just easy, which you'll see that more in this deposition, which is so annoying, but it's not enough for it to really sway my reading on what she is as far as prophecy goes. But let's go ahead and keep watching.
This is your testimony that you never committed any act of what would be
Tem um clash, cuidado.
violence against Mr. Guest.
Deixa ver.
Ah, deixa eu ver.
É, quando eu-
Ah, a gente tem o nosso também.
Vamos ver quem vai ganhar.
Acho que é rápido.
Mostra.
Enemy spotted. Second floor.
Vamos lá ver o Dark Bird. Um bom touch.
Vou ter que destruir por baixo. Ah, esquerda. Vou abrir.
Really big fucking hole coming right up. Take cover. It's hot.
Já está ali daquele lente. Tudo bem. Já está ali.
Está à direita, né? Menos um.
Ei bro, vá por trás para o outro lado. Mata-se a clash.
É.
É. Se o montanha... O montanha está a fazer merda. Vai, continua. Ter strength. Alta. Isso eu acho que não se modos para isso. Eu vou muito tanto.
The diffuser is no longer in your possession.
Resposta. Martin!
The diffuser
Não
is
gostei, bro.
São.
dropped.
Não, bro, o que é que querias que eu fizesse?
Não curto sempre pequenino
Down to
logo.
one friendly.
Estava fechado com caça, bro.
10 seconds.
Se estes próprios pés.
5 seconds. Op 4 last operator standing.
Vai, caralho.
Diffuser is now secure.
Estava fechado com caça. Não,
Próprios pés. Mas cozinhas para.
mas não, aqui não tem espaço suficiente. E à esquerda estava aberto. Podiam-me matar para a esquerda.
Mas este é diff e fugir dali. Então olha, ele está para a espera. Eu devo morrer.
Não sei porque é que o outro tinha a bomba. Interessante.
E uma montanha foi burro. Em vez de ele continuar com o escudo, vai começar a disparar.
Ele ficou com a bomba durante meia hora, não consegui fazer não.
Porque é que a montanha está a tirar os esqueletos? Estás doido? Trabalho de montanha, é literalmente andar com o esqueleto, andar para o outro, não está graças. Ainda põe um gajo ali com uma pessoa. Não acredito.
Protect the bombs. Bomb location compromised. Plan accordingly.
Welcome that deployed.
Op 4 has located a bomb. Be ready for assault. 10 seconds left. 5 seconds and counting.
Position
Op 4 has located a bomb.
Position device. AD is active in this sector. Deploying soccer pack. Watch this! ADS up and running.
You are being tracked.
As minhas forças nos anos. Eu tinha costumado aqui.
Someone is tracking you down.
É isso. Olha, não é possível dar aqui.
Por acaso tens shotgun? Aproveita-me isso. Tem muitos gajos aqui. Disse que vão plantar.
Não faço ideia.
Atrás.
Não. Agora não sei.
Say,
Consigo ver banda aqui, a seguir. Tem a montanha. Acho que a montanha é um escrito primeiro.
É, montanha. O nome é Nitro.
Escrito de fake esse gajo, não é? Está bastante.
Não consigo, matam por trás, ninguém me protege por trás.
É bom dito que estás fazendo.
Está por trás, está sim. Estão plantando. E ninguém me protege por trás, é morro. Claro que é morro. Claro que é morro.
One friendly remaining.
Ninguém me protege por trás.
É bom dito, vê traição. Não. Amigo, podes dar a volta, sabes disso, não sabes? Não me broca ali, olha. Eles vão para o cuidado. O broca até falou, o broca vai dar. Toma mais! Oh my fuck. Não, tem sujo sim. Mas é, eu acho que.
Porra, não me protegem por trás. Eu vou para que façam um diffuser, matam-me por trás. Ninguém me protege, estão todos a olhar para a mesma porta.
Eu estava-me a sentir que estava-me bem de si. Ele está por trás, não protege, não ficou olhando para a visão.
Caralho, bro.
E aqui acho piada, esses gajos não são os gajos que têm mais que isso. É isso que eu sei que digo. Danny Ghost desse.
Vais-te embora, não é? Vou continuar a jogar. Também não estou-me a
Mas
foder.
só que se me dá chute. O primeiro tiro eles estão a tirar solto, sabes? O
É,
primeiro tiro que não é.
eu vou jogar na mesma, mas eu vou estar com ele.
Esqueci como corpo.
Porra.
É o que me conta.
Join them.
I know.
West.com. What do we got here? Oh, we're at the gas station. Well, with any gasoline-powered vehicle, you gotta fill it up. So, a lot of people think it may be a simple task to just put gas in it, much like a car. You put the nozzle in, click the lever, and fill up your car. Unfortunately, with the scooters, they have a smaller size fuel tank and a smaller fuel nozzle. So there's some tricks to filling up your fuel. And I was gonna cover some of those tricks, and we're gonna do it both on this Vespa GTS 300 and this BV 350. Both these scooters have quite a few miles, run great. GTS, any of the GT200, GTS 250, 300, they roll, I think, around 2.25 gallons, about 9 liters. The BV 350 pulls about 12 liters of fuel, almost 3 gallons of fuel, I think, somewhere around 3 gallons. Both get similar range, go about, I would say, 120 miles, 130 miles, about 200 kilometers of range on a full tank of gas. One thing to keep in mind with all Vespa and Piaggio products, they all have, or most of them have this fuel light here. And you can see the fuel gauge indicates about an eighth of the tank. And when the fuel light comes on, it's like usually just below a quarter of the tank. Usually it has about 40 or 50 miles range, so you get quite a bit of mileage when the fuel light's on. Obviously you don't want to test your limits, but just, kind of be aware of how much fuel you're putting in at different fuel gauge settings, so you kind of know your range if you're going on a long ride. First of all, we'll pop the seat. On a lot of the modern Vespas and Piaggio products, they got electric seat pop. You got the under-seat bay. The fuel is right here in the backside. And that's the same with pretty much all the modern Vespas. One thing you want to do is take the cap off. Do a little trick. Just lift the bucket, rest the cap right there. Also have a rag handy, kind of just in case you got a spill. It's always handy to have a rag on you. Just never know when you might spill some fuel or need to wipe the moisture off the seat. Rainy day. Gallon. And the other thing that's unique about California, they have this little rubber vapor recovery nozzle on the fuel filler. So when you stick the tank in, it doesn't do anything. This is on the California nozzle, so this is very unique. You want to pull the nozzle up, and because what I usually do is I'm kind of aware of how much fuel the scooter's going to hold. Watching the fuel lever so you kind of can slow down on the pump. But I'm holding the nozzle back and have or this rubber part, whatever. I went a little fast. I never slowed down, and that's typically what happens. You'll end up with a little spill. And with the fuel light on, it helps about 1.6 gallons. Again, this is where it's handy to have a rag, kind of wipe up the gas if it's spilled. But ideally, you don't want to spill gas on your paint job or in your bucket. So I'm going to show how to do this on the BV 350. And I was going full throttle with the gas on this. Let's see if I can get this cap on here. BV 350. See, I never slow down, and that's typically what happens. The nozzle up, and what I usually do is I'm kind of aware of how much fuel the scooter's going to hold. Watching the fuel lever so you kind of can slow down on the pump. But I'm holding the nozzle back and have or this rubber part, whatever. I went a little fast. See, I never slowed down, and that's typically what happens. You'll end up with a little spill. And with the fuel light on, it helps about 1.6 gallons. Again, this is where it's handy to have a rag, kind of wipe up the gas if it's spilled. But ideally, you don't want to spill gas on your paint job or in your bucket. So I'm going to show how to do this on the BV 350. And I was going full throttle with the gas on this. Let's see if I can get this cap off here. BV 350s have this locking cap. This is unique for the American market.
I ride a BB350 nearly every day. I threw this card away because I could care less about having a lock and cap. So we put that nozzle on tight. Then pretty much all Piaggio investment products use the same style fuel cap. But again, I'm going to pull the nozzle. And if you have a sense of how much it's going to hold, you can slow down to the slower speed by releasing the lever a little bit to slow down, you know, how much fuel. That one just stopped perfectly. And if you really wanted to top it off just a little bit, you could add, you know, maybe another tenth of a gallon, you know, kind of watching. You know, right there, right when it starts, the bubbles start coming up, that's all it's going to hold. There's no sense in going any higher. It tends to flood the evaporative emission systems, which is part of the modern computers, and can cause stalling and starting possible computers. Hope that was useful. I know if you're a seasoned investor rider, you might find this video kind of silly. Maybe you find it amusing that California fuel nozzles have that on there. I'm sure you find it amusing that the gas prices are pretty high here. And we're in San Diego today and it's raining in May. Until next time, Robot here. That's the Motorsport, ScooterWest.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. That's the Motorsport. You can follow me, Robot Mess Up.
Boom.
Threat is seemingly resolved and the tension removed, and the prestige, where an unexpected scare hits us without warning. This specific structure seems to have become the golden rule for horror film jump scares, and if you pay attention, you'll realize that pretty much every jump scare out there follows this exact formula with minor deviations. Let me show you a quick example. An article by Brian Bishop of The Verge years ago on the art of a jump scare, where he described its components and compared it with the 3 stages of illusion detailed in Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. There's the pledge, where a character is placed into a potentially dangerous situation, the turn, where the threat is seemingly resolved and the tension removed, and the prestige, where an unexpected scare hits us without warning. This specific structure seems to have become the golden rule for horror film jump scares, and if you pay attention, you'll realize that pretty much every jump scare out there follows this exact formula with minor deviations. Let me show you a quick example. A man is looking around a creepy looking house and hears a noise. That's the pledge. He then takes the flashlight and examines the space where the noise came from and finds nothing. That's the turn. Double check for safety, and it seems like the problem is solved. The prestige. Do you see what I mean? Okay, one more. A nurse hears a loud cracking from one of the patient rooms, so she enters, tensed up, carefully examining the room, only to find out that it was just some ice cubes from a cup of water. The problem seems resolved until...
What the hell do you want?
The prestige. And no, not all jump scares are in 3 stages. Some of them only have 2, like this scene from David Sandberg's short film, Lights Out. Or this scene. Or this scene from Insidious. You know what, let's add this to the list.
First light, this is about all mankind. There is a moment.
And I'm sure we've all seen this. Birds. Okay, maybe not that. What I'm trying to say is that we've come to an era where making breakfast turns into a jump scare, and with its overabundance has completely lost its value, being perceived as cheap and lazy. Even when it does get creative, breaking the cliched structure and approaching the audience with a fresh jump, something always feels lacking, doesn't it? As if there's no substance to the fright. But it's not the technique itself that's at fault, it's the way they're used that's the problem. You see, a jump scare isn't just allowed. What many horror films seem to have forgotten is that jump scares are actually meant to bridge the scenes of a film, conveying its central idea while, sure, also startling the audience. But as a shock that's carried over to the next scene, not relieved and done with. Now, there's one director who's not really known for horror films, but who I think is one of the best directors out there when it comes to creating jump scares. David Lynch. There's a scene from his 2001 film Mulholland Drive that I think demonstrates the most perfect use of a jump scare.
Drone is found a bomb.
As I've mentioned before. Give you a brief context, this scene happens roughly 12 minutes into the film. Nothing to do with the previously been shown. This is the first time we see
insertion in 10 seconds.
We have no clue of who or where they are and why the scene is even
insertion
happening.
in 5 seconds.
The film's defense, the scene.
You've located a bomb. Make your way to its location and defuse it.
Like Gary Cooper. Super duper.
Loading new mags!
Stay clear of the blast!
I'm changing mags!
Loading mag! Watch for the blast! Reload! Trash deployed!
Swapping mags!
You have dropped the diffuser.
This.
Friendly last operator standing.
And it's purposeful not just to the scene itself, but to the rest of the film. So the scene starts off with two men in a restaurant named Winkies. Man A opens up the conversation by saying exact place. Man B isn't exactly happy he's brought here just for a dream tale, but he decides to listen. Man A explains that it's the second dream he's had and that they're both the same dream, unfolding the same way. Starting off with him sitting at this exact table and the other man standing by the counter. And he adds that both of them might be on description for some reason. We, like the other man, are confused, but serious. Man A
Op 4
goes on
eliminated
with the
all
story
friendlies.
saying that
There's a man.
at the back of this restaurant.
He's the one who's doing it.
That it's his horrifying face that the man never wishes to see again outside the dream. And that's it. They're here to see if that man from the dream is out there, to get rid of this god-awful feeling. That's quite a long build-up for a jump scare, you may think, but what happens from here on is even more interesting.
Right now.
Man B gets up to pay for the meals, and right at that moment, This is where the real build-up begins. The moment the characters and the audience realize that there is a man outside. So the two step out, and following the lead of man A, we head to the back of the restaurant, going toward the climax we know is coming, but are not
We
ready
need
to
to locate a bomb.
The camera focuses on objects and signs that we instinctively know are from the dream. The reality unfolding just the same way. He's hesitant to reach the bag, as are we, but determined to end this fear.
Your drone has found a bomb.
Obviously,
5 seconds to go. Proceed to bomb's location and defuse it.
Second floor. Sting is active. Deploy blast stingers. Changing mag.
Estás a gozar, bro. Estás a gozar e ficar mesmo a espera dele. Deixa eu ver agora.
Friendly, last operator standing. Stop standing. 15 seconds remaining. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds left. Op 4 eliminated all friendlies.
Show the entire thing, so I recommend you watch the full scene separately, but you probably still agree that it was a very unsettling encounter. If you think about it though, everything about this scene is counterintuitive. Firstly, we don't even know these characters. Having no emotional attachment to the characters on screen should be a barrier in creating an atmosphere for an effective scare.
That's it.
Also, the scene is absent of both the turn and the prestige. There was no misdirection. We knew the scare was coming and when it was gonna happen. So why then does the scene work? And more importantly, perfect. Before anything, and a minor spoiler warning for those who haven't watched the film, Mulholland Drive at the end of the day is all about a dream. The audience isn't aware of this yet, but the scene nonetheless perfectly sets the ground for what's to come, strengthening the rest of the film with its hypnotic setup. First, it takes place in the middle of the day, and a
Use your
diner
drone to
full
locate
of
a bomb.
people going against the formalities of the horror, transforming a place of security into one that is threatening. When there is light, it's always overexposed, hinting at the unearthliness of the setting, and when the characters are finally outside, what seemed like a bright daytime is converted into an ambiguous one.
Your drone has
Exactly
found a
the
bomb.
dream the man had.
It's not day or night. It's kind of half night, you know?
The sound design is carefully crafted so that no other characters are heard, and the voices of the two men are private, putting them into a trance-like state as if the
10
place
seconds
is
to
secluded.
insertion.
Of all people, you're standing right over there.
5 seconds to insertion.
And the people surrounding them mere constructs of their mind. The result
You've located
is
a bomb.
discrepancy
Make your way
between
to
what
its
we
location
hear
and
what we
defuse it.
see. A dreamlike sensation that augments the appalling narrative. The unknown man enters the scene loud.
Coming up.
But the sound immediately gets drowned, and we're left with an ominous subbass instead of the usual bang that often accompanies the jump scare. Not to mention that the pacing of the conversation throughout is slightly off as well. There are awkward pauses and moments of disconnection between every line that's delivered, and it further blurs the line between real and not. In fact, everything is meticulously done for that purpose. For example, that man at the back of the restaurant is actually a woman. Her name is Bonnie Aaron, who you may recognize as the nun from The Conjuring 2. She's deliberately introduced as the man because, as subtle as it may be, that adds to the uncanniness of the whole scene. Which brings me lastly to the camera. Here's the stationary shot of the Winkies. The restaurant is either on a crane or seemingly steadily floating in the air like a ghost. Create an elusive, surreal atmosphere, but it's built
4 last operators
that
standing.
otherwise feels stale. Over-the-shoulder shots to establish item is
Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission successful.
and that they are both inevitably part of this nightmare. The shot also tends to move out of the ODS shot into an isolated single shot to inform us that the story being told is at its most crucial, and at the same time serves to emphasize that the other character may be finding the situation to be indiscernible, or at the very least is going through his own thoughts that the other character can't empathize with. The dreamlike crane shot spontaneously shifts the perspective from over the shoulder to single and vice versa, and so the subtle buildup of tension is only unconsciously piled up within us, while also keeping us entertained. The diner scene ends by having the camera stay at the table, and we understand that thus far the camera was simply following the character's lead. Once the men are outside, the camera now stays one step ahead, guiding them, and in turn forcing us to face the fright that awaits at the back of the restaurant. Each step of the way, our fear becomes materialized and the doubt transforms into certainty that the thing will appear.
Secure the
The
area.
revelation
The
is
bomb
particularly
detected.
daunting because of this buildup, but also because the camera makes sure to have it fill up the entire frame to maximize the surprise and lessen the chance of us discerning its exact features. Notice how the creature isn't caught by the camera when it re-enters the frame right behind the wall. With a blink of an eye, it's gone from the frame and from our memory, and we're left alone in shock, not by its looks, but by its existence. More last
Op 4 has located a bomb. Down to 10 seconds.
Or has he just fainted? One can't be sure, but it's a traumatic aftermath
5
that
seconds.
allows for no relief and therefore no healing. The tension is
Op 4 has located a bomb. Get ready to engage.
Okay. And as we desperately try to regain our composure, Lynch gives you this.
All set, you can the Meridian.
Place device. Device placed. Position device.
Ready to clear ABS line of fire.
4 located a bomb. Protect it. Friendly, last operator standing. Mission critical. Bomb diffuser activated. Failed. All friendlies were eliminated.
We see before the scene ends. The pledge that keeps you anxious to check in.
14 years, that's right. Let me sing it to you. 14 years. Yeah, apparently you didn't tune in for the singing. But yes, that's how long AH could be looking at. This, by the way, is not speculation or innuendo. Oh no, this is being discussed openly. It's being discussed openly by people in positions of prominence. We'll look at proof of that too. And as far as that pesky little proof word goes, oh yeah, there's plenty of it laying around. We're gonna look at that too. Sing it with me. Sing it with me now. 14 years. Oh yeah, fun times.
Secure the area. Keep the bombs protected.
So hey there, outside enterprise no, not for a third job. So you can do a job if you want. But outside of that price tag, something that I find fascinating about this is it's receiving absolutely no mainstream coverage. Now that's pretty interesting, considering if Johnny Depp so much as sneezes in a room
10
these
seconds.
days, he gets an article based on it. But this, oh no, it's not something
5
I want to
seconds
talk
and
about,
counting.
because the golden child here, they're at risk. Now this too,
Bomb
it's not
are
speculation or gossip in your window. This is coming from cynic, rule, and
Enemy scan incoming. Starting the clock. Enemy drone dropping for scan. A bomb has been located by Op 4. Op 4 found a bomb. You must defend it.
Foda-se, incrível.
One friendly remaining.
Porra, minha bomba nem era
All
ali,
friendlies
cara.
were eliminated. Mission failure. You're about to get scanned. Starting the timer.
Committee. This is at the upper position of power. So yeah, these are people that could actually carry through with this if they wanted to. Now you see the constant pistol and bullet strike again. The Department of Agriculture and AFP are investigating if Johnny Depp's ex-wife gave false evidence when under investigation for bringing their terriers to Australia without quarantine. Hashtag AG estimates. Now let's listen to this, as 50,000 other people have too, but again, no mainstream coverage on it. Fascinating.
There was a question this morning in relation to Amber Heard. I can confirm the department is investigating that matter. So there was evidence presented in the London court case which suggested false statements were provided in the court case in Australia in 2016. So we are investigating that.
So what's the timeline you expect that investigation and decision made about?
As I understand it, the former state manager of Johnny Depp, Kevin Murphy, said in a witness statement that he told Heard, quote, by email, telephone and in person, that she could not take the dogs to Australia because the relevant paperwork and permits were not complete and the required 10-day quarantine arrangements had not been put in place. Murphy continued, Ms. Heard later told the court in Australia that I had told her it was fine to bring the dogs into Australia. That is false. I never told her this.
Yes, so Senator, we understand that to be the case, or the evidence provided in the London court case, and giving a false testimony is an offence under the Crimes Act, so that is what we are now investigating.
Wow, 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 wow. I think that broke my wow EXE button, by the way. I mean, there's so much wow in that. I mean, that was some pretty heavy stuff. AH has got to be quaking. And we'll look at some more of that coming out of Australia. Before we do, though, there's two sets of proof. Not just Kevin Murphy, but also her former assistant. Let's look at the statements there and showcase what exactly is in there that will bury her for what she's done. So AH requests for false statements in Australian proceedings. In October 2015, AH was subject to criminal proceedings in Australia for illegally smuggling her and Mr. Depp's dogs into the country. On October the 11th and 12th, 2015, AH asked me to contact her former assistant, Miss Kate James, who we will have a statement from too, and ask Miss James to lie under oath to the Australian court prosecuting AH. Specifically, AH wanted Miss James to give a false statement that AH was unaware that it would be illegal for her to bring her dogs into Australia. AH was aware that this was illegal, now probably not aware that it carries 14 years, I'm sure, plus, because I had informed her repeatedly by email, telephone, and in person. I told AH that I was uncomfortable with giving a false statement to the court, and I would not ask Miss James to do so. Now, this part was a massive screw-up on AH's part. Quote, before asking
eliminate
me
all
to
of the
request
terrorists.
that Miss James give such a statement, AH forwarded me an email she had received from a lawyer, Martin Lee, dated October 2015, stating, Kate to sign a statement with help. My relationship with her is, at this time, to be fired. Careful, she will cooperate and will not go public if you ask her the truth. You know what? That happened, and it happened with a couple of people. AH responded on the same day on 8 a.m. stating, Mark, I'm waiting to hear back from you before I reach out to Kevin to liaise with Kate, AH. A further email from October the 11th, 2015 at 4 p.m. stated, Kevin, do you think you could get her to do it? Although I did not attempt to submit a false statement from Miss James, AH told me verbally shortly after that there was too much risk that Miss James would go public with the truth regarding her knowledge that the dogs could not legally travel to Australia. Shortly after AH's request for a statement from Miss James, AH demanded regarding the dog's illegal entries into Australia. I expressed that I was extremely uncomfortable doing so, which AH responded with words to the effect, well, I want your help on this. I wouldn't want you to have a problem with your job. AH's threatening language made me feel anxious and uneasy. As stated above, I instructed AH on a number of occasions by email, telephone, and in person that she could not take the dogs to Australia because the relevant papers and permits were not completed and required 10-day quarantine that had not been put in place. I also informed her that the criminal penalties for knowingly smuggling animals into Australia without following the correct procedures could be severe. I further reminded her that the requirements were more stringent and the penalties more severe in Australia than the Bahamas, where AH had previously smuggled the dogs on a prior occasion. I understand that AH later told the courts in Australia that I told her it was fine to bring their dogs to Australia. That was false, and I never told her this. Now, if that wasn't spicy enough, Kate James actually talks about this. Talked about it twice, in fact. She had a lengthy declaration she posted. This is more of an amended declaration, which was turned into the UK courts, and I'm sure that this is the one that they will actually see in Australia. Ooh, this is good too, because it comes with proof about someone liking to lie. So Australia, 2015. I am aware that shortly after
eliminate all
fired me,
hostiles.
she got in trouble for unlawfully smuggling her dogs into Australia. We had previously used a dog transportation company we were hired to sort out the paperwork and guide us through the process of carrying the dogs. This worked well in 2014 when AH took the dogs England. When it became clear that AH was intending to go to Australia, we were advised a 6-month process to prepare to begin the process. Ultimately, the departure time approached, we became aware that there would be a discrepancy of around 10 days in Australia. The only problem being that they would have to travel to hold a commercial flight on the correct date. Oh my God, dogs flying commercial? Ooh, wouldn't even wish it on them. Man, I tell you, the elites. Continuing. I would attempt to talk to AH about the date discrepancy frequently while we were trying to sort out the logistics, but her eyes would glaze over and she would walk away. I discussed with Kevin Murphy about my concerns about the deadline, and Kevin in turn also told AH to explain that there would be a problem if they traveled before the correct departure date, and that would be illegal. AH chose to ignore both of us. She deliberately smuggled the dogs into Australia, as in several circumstances she felt. So it's my understanding that someone then took them to a local grooming parlor in Australia and started tracking this dog. The owner posted about it on Facebook and out. I remember the jungle at the time. Had to send the dogs back to LA on a private jet, which would have cost a fortune from Australia. Email from my mother with an article from my hometown. I was definitely in court. I broke down in tears at the thought that she had blatantly lied in court in my hometown and blamed me. Obviously, I knew that that was a complete lie, and yet she had no problem with apparently perjuring herself in order to avoid responsibility. I've been told about the discussion that took place where AH contemplated asking Kevin to ask me to sign a false document to support her position that she did not know the dogs were not ready to be taken to Australia. AH knew they weren't ready, yet chose to take them anyway. The fact that she was willing to ask me to sign the road, especially as an Australian, my own country, is a reflection of her approach to and anyone affected in general. She did not care about throwing anyone under the bus if it meant saving her own skin, even if it meant lying in court and to authorities. I believe it would be obvious to AH that I would not lie for her, and she decided not to approach me. I recall a previous occasion in 2013, September, when I was asked to speak with Kevin Murphy about amending the dog's medical records so that they could travel together on the 25th of September 2013. AH asked me if I knew a vet she could grease. I attached the email on page 3 of this. Here's that email, by the way. Subject, Pistol and Boo. You can see the date on it. See from AH. You can see it to Kate James. Can you maybe help Kevin procure a slightly altered health doc that has their shots recorded as 2 days before so they can all leave together on the 25th? Do we have a vet we could grease? Connection.
Eliminate the
When the
terrorist.
New Zealand Herald reported on this, I found it interesting because they picked up some of the conversation in the last case, and ooh, that's good stuff. But yeah, the 34-year-old star, she avoided